It's the Turbo and 2K show.
What is up, everybody? Yes, it is the new time of that week, or still this week, but you get what I'm saying. We are on our new day, same time, but new day. And I don't know why this isn't going away, so we'll just do this. And yeah, welcome. Yes, it is a Thursday rather than a Sunday, so my bearings are a little off, as I'm sure yours will. And I just want to, the complete obvious here. We moved the show date for 2Ks, and he's not here. He's not here. I know I'm actually more disappointed than the 2K crew, but trust me, we will get him back in the saddle sooner rather than later. And I did want to clear up something from last week as well. Is I gave you the wrong name of the studio. Instead of the 543, it is the 643 studio. So getting off on that note, we're coming to you live from the 64 studio here at the Marcellus News. And a big shout out to the Marcellus News. If you are interested in getting your copy, go to, or a subscription, go to marcellusnews.com. You can get a virtual subscription or get it mailed to you. And I believe the virtual subscription is $7 a month. And you'll find out everything that goes on in this little town of Marcellus, our little slice of heaven, if you will. And another thing too is with the weekend kind of opening up, I am going to come in and do a little bit of adjusting to the audios to kind of get rid of some of this echo. I know it can be annoying, and I watch videos just as well as you guys and gals do, so I do know how quality video, and we've always had quality audio, and I've taken pride in that, and we're still working with the new surroundings, so it is what it is. And I do want to welcome the handful of guests that we do have. For those of you that are live, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, so you'll be notified every time we go live. And yeah, I'm still debating on whether we will have a show next Thursday, because it is Thanksgiving. I mean, that is a time for family. That is a time for togetherness. And what's the old adage? It's about who's around the table rather than on the table. But it is at 8 o'clock. So I might sneak away. I might take some time and spend a little bit of my Thanksgiving with the 2K crew. And why wouldn't I? You guys are part of my family as well. Got a loaded show today. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball, and then jump into some NFL, look ahead at the college football slate. And like the thumbnail said, is Michigan on upset alert? And I will tell you that I did put the kind of storyboard for the show together with the plan that 2Ks was going to be here, because I wanted to rile some feathers, poke the bear a little bit, if you will. But yeah, we're in it. We're here. So let's dive on into it. Let's talk a little bit about baseball. Big congratulations. Justin Verlander is your American League Cy Young Award winner. Good on you, JV, and fingers crossed that you come back to Detroit. I highly doubt it, but you never know. And big congratulations goes out to Sandy Alcantara, the National League Cy Young Award winner, and we did have the MLB or the MVP winners announced tonight. Nolan Arenado it was Goldschmidt. No, it was either Goldschmidt or Arenado. I can't remember right off the top of my head. And Aaron Judge. Even though that comes as no shock to me, there was a lot of folks that were seemingly trying to, they made valid cases for Shohei Ohtani. And as a card holder of a lot of his rookie cards, I was hoping, but you know what? I do have some Judge rookie cards too, so... that's about all I got for you. There really hasn't been a whole lot of free agent signing, trades, things of that nature. We did see Anthony Rizzo re-sign with the New York Yankees, so there is that. I know there was probably a bunch of Cubs fans holding their breath, seeing if he would come back to Chicago, but nonetheless, here we are. Speaking of Chicago has a lot of good beers. Speaking of beers, go to buyturboabeer.com, buy 2Ks and I a beer, and you'll be financially supporting the show, and you will be signed up for my weekly blog. So there is that as well. So I think we've done all of the the housekeeping, if you will. So let's jump into college football here. And before we even get into the slate and give you some breakdowns, I did want to show this. This right here is epic. This is epic. I actually took this last night. And for those of you that are listening on the podcast, it is a photo from the Western-Eastern game last night. And the Eastern students, I believe they're Eastern students, were in the stands and actually made a snow person. Not a snowman, a snow person with arms, legs, a torso, and put a hat on him. So this was ingenious. I loved it. I did share it in the 2K Crew group, which if you're not a member of the 2K Crew group, I do highly suggest that you jump in there. It is facebook.com/groups/2K Crew. We do have, especially if you're a Cowboys hater, and I'm not sure where all of the Cowboys hate came from, but we do have we have a good group of Cowboys haters, and it's always entertaining. Always entertaining. And before we jump into the actual slate here, let's take a look at this. This is as of Tuesday, so 2 days ago, the college football playoff top 25. To me, there really wasn't a whole lot of movement here, not a lot of surprises. Georgia remains number 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, TCU 4. So if the season were to end today, it would be Georgia, TCU, Michigan, Ohio State, which we know that can't happen because not this weekend, but the weekend after is the big showdown in the horseshoe. To round out the top 10, Tennessee is 5, LSU 6, USC, is 7, Bama 8, Clemson 9, Utah 10. Now, there were a lot of folks, a lot of clamoring that Alabama should not be in the top 10, which, I'm one of the biggest Bama haters around. And my only argument or counterpoint to that would be, who else on this list would you put ahead of them? I mean, you've got Clemson behind them, who lost to an unranked Notre Dame team. Bama's lost to 2 fairly good opponents. Penn State has lost a couple. Oregon dropped another one. North Carolina, would you put North Carolina ahead of Clemson or Bama? I mean, yes, they have one loss. Their quarterback, May is just tearing things up and is really a dark horse for the Heisman. So if you do want to place a futures bet on that, probably not a bad idea. So all in all, just to kind of round out the top 25, Notre Dame goes from 20 to 18, even though they did have that craptacular second half of the game on Saturday against Navy. And it's good to see Luke Fickell and the Cincinnati Bearcats making their way into the top 25 after kind of a start that I don't think any of us college fans. Well, when you lose that amount of talent, they're not a Bama, they're not a Clemson that's going to reload right away. And when you lose a quarterback that has that much experience and a corner who is as a rookie is just unbelievable in Sauce Gardner, you're going to see some drop off in talent. You just have to. But here's one thing too that I did find interesting. This is, it's been rumored, or it's not rumored, it's going to happen that the college football playoff is going to move from 4 to 12 teams. And if any of you have ever tried to make a bracket, 12 is a very awkward bracket to make. But basically what it means is the top 4 teams would get a bye. So if this were in place this year and the season ended today, we would have 8 versus 9, Bama versus Clemson, 5 versus 12, Tennessee versus Oregon. On the other side, we'd have 7 versus 10, SC versus Utah, and then 6 versus 11, which would be LSU, Penn State. And then again, Georgia would play the winner of Bama, Clemson. TCU would play the winner of Tennessee, Oregon. Ohio State would play the winner of SC and Utah, and Michigan would play the winner of LSU, Penn State. This is this is something where it's either going to come down in 2024 or 2025. This playoff right here. This is what's going to happen. We better get used to seeing this. And I saw this on Twitter and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna grab that. And that did come from Sports Illustrated, and I know one of the things that 2Ks and I talked about when UCLA and USC they announced they're making their move to the Big Ten, and I honestly thought that we would see a lot more teams kind of mid-season make they couldn't change during the season, obviously, but would announce that their intentions to move to a conference, and or from one conference to another, just because you don't want to be that like the whole musical chair situation and be one of these big time programs without a seat at any table. And Notre Dame being one of them, being one of the most important ones, since they are independent and kind of can choose where they want to go. And I honestly thought by now we would have gotten the memo or everything come down from Notre Dame saying that, hey, yeah, we are going to the Big Ten because of the huge Big Ten TV contract that they signed leading up to the season. Has some bonuses and some magnifiers, or however you want to look at it, to if they do add more teams, the pot gets bigger, obviously. So one thing that I didn't even think about is if there is a 12-team playoff, would that hurt Notre Dame as much as we kind of anticipated? And the quick answer is I really don't think so. I think if anything else, it's going to be an easier road to get in when this 12-team playoff comes about. And just because right now they could go undefeated, and if there's 4 teams ahead of them that win, obviously win their conference, go undefeated, run the table, even a 1-loss SEC team, or in this case this year, a 1-loss Big Ten team, would that be enough would that be a better resume than what Notre Dame would be able to put out? It's a lot harder right now. But with 12 teams, I think it's a legitimate thing, and I really do think that it is very possible, very plausible, and maybe joining a conference isn't as is kind of like a fire drill, if you will, quite yet. So that being said, it's still going to be really, really interesting to see how things line up, where everybody ends up, and ultimately there is going to be that team left without a chair. But yeah, let's take a look at I don't know if we talked a lot about them, but we can talk about up-to-date spreads, we can talk about all this good stuff. Illinois and before you make your bets, ladies and gentlemen, before you make your bets this weekend, whether it's pro, college, doesn't matter, check the weather. Check the weather, because obviously it's a goddamn blizzard here. And we saw, if you did watch the the Central Western game last night, wow. And for it to be snowing that hard in Mount Pleasant, and we're not getting any here, that was kind of weird. But definitely saw some how the weather plays with the spreads, the overs, the unders. So quick tip from your buddy Turbo, and we'll get into one of my locks for the weekend that I had to cash out. But Illinois goes to the big house. Illinois 7-3. They're kind of reeling right now. I believe they lost to Michigan State. It is an 18-point spread. Michigan is favored. Over under at 40.5. I think the book is on to the weather on that one, so be careful on that one as well. We do have SMU Tulane going on right now. Tulane is just beating the brakes off of the Mustangs, 28-7. They just started the second quarter not too long ago. So yeah, that one looks to be getting out of hand quickly. So we won't spend much time on that. We've got the clash of the Catholics. Boston College at Notre Dame. The Irish are a 21-point favorite, and over-under set at 43. Whenever the Irish are favored by this much, I get scared and stay away from a game like this. But Boston College is 3-7, Notre Dame 7-3. What worries me is like we already talked about, the second half against Navy was atrocious. So that does kind of shy me away from even touching that one. So, but like I said, go ahead. I'm staying away from that one. On paper, yes, the Irish should win by more than 21. So, just not my thing. And you would think after a month this congestion and cough would go away, but no, I'm sorry. TCU travels to Baylor. TCU's a 2.5-point favorite. Wow. TCU's 10-0. Baylor's 6-4. Man, that is. I would almost jump on with a spread that low. Yeah, I get it. It's at Baylor, but man, that'd be rather interesting. Rather interesting. And Bama gets a really, really hard opponent coming into Tuscaloosa in Austin Peay. Austin Peay 7-3. Don't even know where they're from. There isn't even a spread. So I should tell you what kind of a team that Saban put on the schedule for this week. See, Georgia goes to Kentucky. Georgia's obviously 10-0. Kentucky 6-4. Georgia is a 22.5-point favorite. Probably book that. Ohio State goes to Maryland. Ohio State's a 27.5-point favorite. That's another one that the over/under is at 63.5. I would check that if you do plan on betting that. If you do think the weather is going to play a huge factor in it, 63.5 is a whole lot of points. And I'm not sure if Maryland is in the snow belt that's going to hit the East Coast, but yeah, that might be one that I would check out. Let's see here. Georgia Tech goes into North Carolina. Like we said, North Carolina is 9-1. North Carolina is a 21-point favorite. And Green Bay's in the red zone. Let's see. USC, UCLA. Number 7 against number 16. I honestly thought that game day would be here instead of at Montana State. But yeah, this one could be a really good one. USC is 9-1, UCLA 8-2. Chip Kelly's got those boys rolling. And SC is only a 2.5-point favorite, and the over/under is set at 76. Wow. That is a lot of points. A lot of points. But hopefully SC can come out with a win, and then Notre Dame travels over there next week. And there's a lot of people on the Irish side of the Twitter that will give you the amount of days, hours, minutes since USC has beaten Notre Dame. So we shall see if that happens as well. And then to wrap out the slate here is the late game is Utah at Oregon. Utah going into Oregon. Both teams are 8-2, both 6-1 in the Pac-12. And Utah is a 2-point favorite, and over/under set at 60. Now this is going to be another big test for Bo Nix. I've never really bought into the Bo Nix hype, even the week one. Obviously, week one he had probably his worst game as a Duck. So yeah, I'm still not buying it, still not drinking the Kool-Aid. I might be missing out on it, but who knows? Who knows? All right. Looks like the Packers are going to tie it up 7-6, and I was actually very curious to see how they would respond. And Mason Crosby has a extra point blocked. Why is it with these Packers that what is with their special teams? I mean, Crosby's fine. He's a great kicker, but their punt team sucks. Their team sucks. How can you get these field goals and extra points blocked seemingly every single week? And Randall Cobb is back for the Packers, and looks like they are off and rolling, responding well. I do have some NFL tweets here. Let's start off with this one. Yeah, start off with this one. And yes, I'm talking. I know I've kind of given up my hope for, or at least trying to be a hype man for the Lions, just because they're the fucking Lions, and I'm tired of doing it. I don't want to do it, and I'm not even a Lions fan, so I'm not even sure how I get wrapped up into this. But we're all going to be inundated with Lions football here next Thursday, because for whatever reason they still host a Thanksgiving game. And when is the last time a Lions Thanksgiving game was even remotely close to being any sort of competitive? I can't remember at all. So I'm going to kind of gear you up for it here, ladies and gentlemen, to talk a little bit about the Lions, even though I'm not an apologist, I'm not a hype man, just pointing out a few things. And this one right here, this is from Detroit Sports Podcast. If you don't give them a follow on Twitter, I highly recommend it for all of your Detroit sports. Lions DeAndre Swift, quote, "I'm not injury prone." Is there another number 32 on the Lions that just happens to play the same position as you and seems like he is never available for but more than half the year, if that? How can you not be quote unquote injury prone when you can't play a whole season? Yes, you could say a lot of it might have to do with, oh, I was just unlucky or unfortunate or just some weird shit happens. But for it to do that every single year, gonna have to call you out on this one. And I'm not even apologizing for it. Because if you put shit like this out without anything to back it up, then you deserve to be called out on it. So you know what, DeAndre Swift, when you hear this, not if you hear this, when you hear this, prove me wrong. Play a whole season next year. Play a whole 17-game season, and then we'll talk about you not being injury prone. Okay? Cool. Glad we had that talk. And for those of you that are watching live, go ahead and drop a comment. I'll feature you on the show. That way too, you don't have to keep listening to me blather on, and get your input. Especially if you are a Lions fan, because I do want to move from this one to this one. This is from Fox Sports NFL, the 2023 NFL draft order after 10 weeks of football. And you might be saying to yourself, well, why does this have to do with the Lions? They're not that bad. Well, yeah, they are, really. But as you can see here, if the season ended today, Houston would have the first pick, Vegas second, Carolina third, Philly, which was a trade from New Orleans, trade with New Orleans, rather, at 4, Jacksonville at 5, the Bears at 6, the Seahawks at 7. That was a trade came over via trade from the Broncos, and the Lions at 8 with one of their picks that they got from the Matt Stafford trade. Houston at number 9, trade with Cleveland when they sent over Deshaun Watson, and round out the top 10, the Steelers. Now, why is this so important for a Lions fan? Well, let me put this back up here. If the season ended right now, even though you sit at 3-6, you have the number 8 pick. And that is not reflective of the Lions record, but the Rams record. And who would have thought with the Matt Stafford trade that we would be talking about the Rams having this low of a draft pick. Now, shit could get real crazy here, folks. Shit could get real crazy. Now, Stafford, still not sure if he's going to be back this week. He's obviously, hopefully going to be back at some point in the season, but even when he has played, he's been garbage. That whole team has been garbage. Well, the offense has been garbage. The defense has been the defense, but when they're out on the field for so long, you can't really be the defense you want to be. So Stafford has been, believe me, I drafted him on one of my fantasy teams because I do have Cooper Kupp. And now Cooper Kupp is out. Cooper Kupp had surgery. I believe he had surgery for a high ankle sprain. So with this season kind of being what it is, and if the season is just garbage, if you're the Rams, why do you even bring him back? Why do you risk further injury to the Triple Crown winner and yards after catch leader of 2021? Why would you even bring him back this year? So I'm saying this to kind of drive home a point here, is that the more games the Rams lose, the better the Lions draft pick. And keep this in mind too, because it always seems to be like that whole the whole adage that the Lions win games that they shouldn't, to keep them out of prime draft position, and rightfully so. I mean, granted, all of these guys are professionals. All these guys do cash paychecks, and they want to put plays on film for next year, being traded, free agency, whatever. I totally get that. And when you look at something like this, the Lions can actually make a run, which, I mean, they're on the 2-game winning streak, just won last week. It was Dan Campbell's first road win. So the Lions can play loosey-goosey. There's no pressure at all because you got this pick right here. And the Rams don't seem to be going anywhere. And I'm pretty sure if you expand the season out and look at the Rams' remaining schedule, then you're going to see that their division is already hard. They still have a lot of division games left. So, I mean, hey, look at this. Look at this. And John brings up a good point here. Do the Rams need to be in win now mode even more now? And John, that's kind of hard to say, because what do you do? I mean, really, granted, yes, by all means, they should be. But how do you fix what they have? Even if they do convince OBJ to come, which I don't think they will. Even if you do convince OBJ to come back, who's to say that he's going to be the player he was pre-injury? Who's to say that he's kind of, that quote-unquote savior that's going to be the missing piece or the missing link to that offense? I don't know. This whole Rams team flabbergasts me and is very, very frustrating, because they were so good. They were great last year. Well, they were good. They were very good last year. Then they added OBJ, and after the Robert Woods injury, that just kind of flipped after a couple weeks of him and Stafford getting to know each other. They flipped that switch, and man, they were unbeatable. I mean, obviously they won the Super Bowl, but they lost key pieces like Von Miller, and not really a whole lot from the offense. Rather, with the exception of OBJ. But it's like, all right, where are these other receivers coming from? Now with Cooper Kupp out, we're going to have to see where those other options come from, a la John's other comment here. Says, word, Rodgers has destroyed the Packers. I really don't think it's Rodgers that's destroyed the Packers. I really think it's the front office that's not provided Rodgers with anything. Injuries have plagued this team, and now, mind you, I'm a Bears fan. I'm not a Packers fan. But it's kind of between injuries and just no offensive weapons. I mean, granted, you have two great running backs, and I think we're going to see that kind of on display tonight with with the game against the Titans. But as far as I know, we've got it's 7-6 right now. We've seen both the touchdowns come from passes and Tannehill's back this week, which makes a huge difference. I really didn't think that the Titans were ready to start Malik Willis. We all kind of expected him to be like a quote unquote project. So John says too, hard to afford more when Roger says it's all about me. I agree. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. However, the Chiefs do it. And the Bills do it. There's a lot of other teams that do it. And John goes on to say that and their left tackle they paid only has one working leg. That's very true. And it's very sad. Very sad. David Bakhtiari is a great left tackle and hasn't been right for 2 years now. 2 years and still isn't right. Never want to wish an injury on somebody, but man, yeah, I don't know what it is. Rodgers is a great quarterback. LaFleur is a good coach, but I think him and the staff could have done better with what they have. Because you saw last week when the Packers beat the Cowboys, they ran the ball a shit ton. Rodgers didn't pass a lot. However, he did have 3 passing touchdowns. But you think you would, stick with what you're good at. Don't make shit fancy. And maybe that's why I'm just an asshole with a microphone and not on the sideline. I mean, hell, John, you played way more football than I ever had. You'd be able to attest a little bit more to that. But let's jump into the like I said, it's still 7-6. They're direct snapping the ball to Derrick Henry. But yeah, we've got the early slate: Bears, Falcons. Wow. Bet you the Bears are stoked that they're down in Atlanta this week and not at home. But yeah, Atlanta's a 3-point favorite, even though they've looked like absolute garbage. But what I will do is hammer the Justin Fields over rushing yards. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Might want to check that one out. Browns go to the Bills. I mean, if Bills are 8-point favorite, if you need a get right game, this is the game you need to get. This is week 10. We still have a couple weeks before Deshaun Watson comes back to the Browns. Not that I'm looking forward to that, just kind of giving you a little update. Eagles go to the Colts. Philly's a 7-point favorite. Jeff Saturday did win his first game as an NFL head coach. So do I think he's got enough to beat the Eagles? Doubtful. But the Eagles, the Eagles were Eagles definitely showed a chink in their armor against the Commanders. Over under set at 45.5. John, we already did that one. John said, yeah, that's hammer the over Fields and take the Bears points. I agree. Maybe sprinkle in a little Justin Fields anytime touchdown or 2. Get yourself a nice little same game parlay going. Eagles over. I agree. They don't seem like a team that's going to lay an egg twice in a row. Jets, Pats. John says, "LOL, don't get greedy." No, being greedy would take our Irish boy Cole Kmet to have an anytime touchdown score. Even though I do love him, don't get me wrong. But Jets at the Patriots. Patriots are 3.5-point favorites. I really can't put my finger on either one of these teams. Spreads 30, or the over under's 38, and I think I'm staying away from that one. I'm staying away from that one. our aforementioned Rams at Saints. Who would have ever thought, kind of going back to my point of how terrible the Rams are. I honestly wonder what the line would have been preseason, because right now the Saints are a 3-point favorite with Andy Dalton as their quarterback. And yeah, John, I'm right there with a yuck Dalton in the win. I think I'm staying away from that game as well. Unless Alvin Kamara anytime touchdown, I don't know. It's one of those just, I'm done. Lions go to the Giants. The resurgent Detroit Lions. Giants are a 3-point favorite. That's a game I really want to watch. Really interested to see what the Saquon Barkley rushing line is at. But the over-under set at 45.5. For those of you that didn't know, we're going to talk about it here in a little bit, but maybe we already did. Yeah, Bills-Browns. That was the one I was talking about. The over-under set at 49.5. That game, there's reports that there could be 6 feet of snow in Buffalo, but they are playing that game in Detroit, and I did see the tweet from the Lions, and I got it a little bit too late. It says the emergency contact numbers are on the table, and please do not break any of the tables. And for those of you that follow any sort of Bills Mafia or Bills Nation, let's see if there's any Bildos left in Ford Field while they're there. Panthers-Ravens. Ravens should absolutely blow the doors off of the Panthers, but the Panthers have been that team that just seems to upset. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Not really sure who PJ Walker would be the starting quarterback there for the Panthers. John says, and there's a carnival on the field Friday night. Yes, they are. They're going to have to get the hell out of there really fast. Really fast. Would not want to be part of that crew at all. Panthers, Ravens. Again, Baltimore, not really sure if they're in that snow belt that everyone's talking about, but the over-under is 41. Baltimore, 13-point favorite. I would hammer that, maybe even take an alternate spread of, give an extra 1.5, a little bit more juice, get a little bit better odds, because I have a feeling this is more than a 2-score game. Commanders, Texans. I would say who cares, but I love Tyler Heineke. I do. And, Washington is a 3-point favorite going down to the 1-7-1 Texans. Okay, give me the Commanders. I'll give you the points, and let's roll. Over under 40.5. I'd probably stay away from that part of it. Okay. I thought we were well into the 4 o'clock games and say, man, there's just not a lot of juice there at the 4 o'clock games. Those are all. That's all the 1 o'clock slate, ladies and gentlemen. And to start off the 4 o'clock slate, the Raiders at the Broncos. Man, that's going to be a terrible game. What the hell happened to these two teams? What in the hell happened? That's going to lead me into my next tweet here. This is from Sunday Night Football on NBC. Better record. Which team is better than their record reflects? The Ravens, the 49ers, the Broncos, or the Raiders? I'll give you a sec to think about that. I know my answer. To me, this one it's an obvious San Francisco 49ers out of these 4. Should all these teams be very good? Yes. With all the offseason acquisitions that the Raiders made, should be a whole lot better. Bringing in Russ to Denver, where they were quote unquote a quarterback away from winning a Super Bowl. And now there's reports coming out that he's calling audibles and signals from the Seattle playbook that no one on the offense even knows what the hell he's talking about. How does that happen in week 10? How does that happen? I don't know. The Ravens, I think the Ravens are very good. I think they're very good. I think they're right where their record should be. The 49ers, on the other hand, I don't think that Kyle Shanahan's even really figured out how to use McCaffrey and Debo and all those weapons. And you get they're getting Elijah Mitchell back. I mean, it's kind of a wealth of weapons, I guess you could say. The only thing that holds them back is this guy right here, Jimmy G. But with that, you would think and throw George Kittle in there and a great offensive line and an amazing defense. It's going to come down to Jimmy G. It really is. It really is. Could they make a run? Absolutely. Do I think they will? Yep. I think that they're just scratching the surface on what they can do and how they can use Christian McCaffrey. He's a very special player, a very unique player, and put him next to another very unique player in Debo Samuel. I think you got a recipe for success, my friends. A recipe for success. So yeah, John. I'm hoping you're referring to the Raiders at Broncos. Yeah, that's right. Bronco Nation, let's ride. Bronco Nation, let's ride. Bronco Nation, let's ride. And I'm hoping that this is the game that I get. Cowboys at Vikings. That's going to be a hell of a game. Hell of a game. You got the Cowboys coming off the loss to the Packers, and the Vikings pulling off the victory of the year so far, in the game of the year so far, probably the game of the year. It's going to be harder than hell to top that one. And I mean, they've got Kurt Cochains, Kurt 2 Chains, Kurt 10 Chains, however you want to. And you got Patrick Peterson, who's playing as well as any corner or safety, just secondary player, period. And yeah, that I love it. I love every part of this Vikings team. Just can't say enough good things about that team. And Hawkinson has been just a little part of that, a little part. Another week in that system, man. It's gonna be tough to beat that team. And they are sitting at 8-1. And holy shit, jump on 2K Crew, jump on this. Dallas is a 1.5 point favorite. You heard me. Dallas Cowboys are a 1.5 point favorite. 1.5 point favorite. And the Vikings are at home. And I know in this day and age that you don't get 3 points for being at home like you used to, but it seems kind of lopsided. I hammer that one. Hammer that one. Give me the points. I'll take the Vikings. Give me a Justin Jefferson anytime touchdown score. Maybe sprinkle in a little Dalvin Cook touchdown score or two. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? And definitely check J. Jeff's receiving line. Probably bet the over. John says Surtain has gone full field corner too. Oh, that dude is scary. John, like I said, that team is set up to win right now. It's Russ that's out of his fucking mind. Out of his mind. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I'm sure as a football community, none of us get it either. That's the weird and crazy part. A team in the offseason who was quote unquote a quarterback away from the Super Bowl is terrible. They have 3 wins. They're 3-6. I don't get it. Maybe Russ needs to play all of his games in England, where he's doing high knees in the airplane and doing calisthenics to keep his legs and body fresh in that long of a flight. Yeah, I guess. I'm just so over Russ and all his fake ass shit. I'm done. Let's see. We talked about Cowboys, Vikings, Bengals at the Steelers. Yet again, another game that could be influenced by the weather. Cincinnati's a 4-point favorite. Let's see what John says here. It says, I argue too, concept is wrong. Seams versus levels, play actions versus rolls. I agree. I mean, there's something that is not clicking. There's obviously it's not clicking, but um, I don't know if it's the coaching staff and their vision, their plan, and what Russ has envisioned what this team should look like. I don't know. Um, John says, design the offense around the players. Bingo. You hit it, Jack. You hit the nail on the head, my friend. And it seems like there's definitely a miscommunication, a disconnect is the word I was looking for. There's definitely a disconnect in there somewhere. And maybe it's they do have a first-year head coach. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of it. But the Bengals Steelers, I mean, this Steelers team is terrible. This Bengals team, I want to get behind so much. I mean, they have, again, John, getting back to we're talking about the Broncos. The Bengals should be a team that's just loaded and rolling. Yes, they did start out slow. Joe Burrow's getting the shit beat out of him like he ended last year. But this is a team that really should be, and they have an indoor practice facility, and just a team that should be rolling, and they have kind of turned a corner. I've been seeing Joey be upright more than horizontal, which is always good, and they have playmakers. They have playmakers out the ass on both sides of the ball. And John says, and the Bengals can't lose in all whites. Hell no. Those are some of the most awesome uniforms. I love them. Yeah, Bengals are favored by 4, over under at 41. Sunday night game, Chiefs at Chargers. Now this should be a game. This should be the biggest game of the day. You've got the hotter than hot Patrick Mahomes and his new toy, Kadarius Toney, and all of the, his plethora of weapons, if you will. And hopefully Juju is healthy. I'm judging by the hit that he took last week. I haven't heard if he's available yet. I would be very doubtful if he, kind of given the Tua situation, that he would be back on such a short amount of time. But I just have a feeling with the Chiefs, it's just kind of that plug and play. Next man up. If you do have Kadarius Toney or Pacheco on your fantasy team, if you need someone in a pinch, I'd say go for it. But on the flip side, this Chargers team, again, is like that Bengals team. Is like a couple of these other teams that I want to get behind. I want them to be good. I love Justin Herbert. I love Austin Eckler. I did see that both of their top receivers are practicing this week. I believe it was Mike Williams hasn't made his season debut yet, so that looks very encouraging. And we'll see what this Chargers team can do. I mean, they got some dogs on that defense, but it just seems like they can't put it all together. And when they do, it seems like maybe it's the Chargers just curse, to where you start out slow and then you just try to spin your wheels to try to get there, a la what Phillip Rivers used to do. Who knows? Maybe it's something in the air. I don't know. But that Chargers team should be winning. That they should have been on that graphic at 5-4. They should have been on that graphic. And then Monday night, 49ers, like we talked about, which are also 5-4, which I think is they are definitely better than a 5-4 team. But given all that they've been through, the whole Trey Lance, Jimmy G saga, is Jimmy G going to get traded? Nope, we're going to keep him. We're going to restructure his deal. We're going to keep him here. Good thing you did, because Trey goes out, week 2? Unfortunately, breaks his ankle, out for the year. You have Mitchell go out up until, I believe this week is his first week back. So you go out and trade for a very, very highfalutin guy in Christian McCaffrey. And then you have the whole contract situation with Debo the whole offseason. And just kind of there's more drama going around outside and not a lot going on inside. John says Juju concussion protocol did not practice today. Like I said, not that I'm saying anyone would try to rush him back, but just in the general day and age of the NFL, I would, especially the ferocity that hit that he took, I would be very, very, very suspect if he did come back this week. But T's and P's, hopefully he gets back soon. But with the addition of Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers, we've seen Brandon Ayuk kind of come into his own. You know, Deebo's been banged up a couple games, and we're starting to see that this team kind of hitting their stride. And with a 5-4 record, I really do think they can make a run, and I really do think they could definitely make some noise in the playoffs. John says, on my fantasy team, dude needs to get it together. Ugh. Maybe it was on you for drafting him. I don't know. I really can't talk shit. Both my fantasy teams are absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. But speaking of awful, this Cardinals team is, again, a team I can't figure out. We kind of joked about, I can't remember if it was this show or I guarantee it's every other sports talk show has joked about, Kyler and the whole Call of Duty stuff. And I don't know if that's playing a role in it. I don't know what's going on there, but nothing really makes sense to me. Nothing makes sense. Yes, D-Hop was gone for 6 weeks. He comes back, him and Kyler, peas and carrots, kind of light shit up like they always have. And now we're unsure if Kyler's going to play with a hamstring. He didn't play last week. They looked terrible. I just really, to kind of go by my point and judging by the spread, it looks like Kyler is not playing because 49ers are favored by 8 at Arizona. Over under at 43.5. I'd probably stay away from the points, but I might hammer that San Francisco spread. I'm almost positive I would give the points on that one. Almost positive. John says, speaking of fantasy, Likely and Tony, love them. Me too. I actually picked up Tony in both my leagues. And John, you will love this one. This one's just for you, brother. Just for you. I think I'm starting Justin Fields in both of my fantasy leagues this week. They have a terrible matchup a very favorable matchup for him in Atlanta. But I'm starting him in one of my leagues. I'm thinking about starting him over Josh Allen. He outscored Josh Allen last week. John says, Cardinals want to run, can't. Kyler wants to throw deep, inverted safeties and rolling coverages. Or him just playing like absolute dog shit. John says, bear down. You know it, brother. You know it. And that's a team, too, that, I kind of made slides and everything talking about the Lions with the Bears. The Bears have a ton of draft picks next year. And we kind of talked about this last week. Have a shit ton of cap room, shit ton of draft picks. We have what seems to be a guy in Justin Fields that's going to kind of make it more appealing to play in Chicago. Granted, defensive players have always wanted to play there just because the defense has been good, but I think a lot of those top tier guys have kind of shied away from Chicago just because the offense has been that inept. Now it's kind of the other way around. Granted, I understand they traded their top two defenders. I get that. And John says shit ton of cap room was being conservative. I know. John, when's the last time the Bears have had this much cap room or percentage? I guess probably never, since the cap keeps going up and up and up. But it doesn't seem like the Bears have ever been that really aggressive in free agency. I mean, probably the last time they were that aggressive was when they got Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall. I mean, that was kind of a huge splash. And now, I mean, and to kind of put John says Bears need to slow play it though. Don't go all in next year. Draft well, develop, then get after it. I agree. And then, it's going to depend on, too, who's in the wide receiving free agent market. And on top of that, would you really want to, because these guys are getting 20, 25 million a year, could that be better spent elsewhere? Because we've got Fields on a rookie contract for 3 more years. So they definitely need to be smart about it. Don't overspend and just go get the new shiny thing by any means. But we've got a window where our quarterback is cheap, and I don't think we're going to get a quarterback at this caliber, even this early on, this caliber for that price, for much longer. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what this new regime in Chicago has in mind. I like what they've done so far. I'll put it that way. I like what they've done so far, and we're because the wide receiver, the wide receiving core doesn't have that quote unquote big name. They're scoring a shit ton of points even without a number one receiver or a quote unquote number one receiver. So even if they get just a little bit of help, I think that could go a long way. Well, speaking of long ways here, ladies and gentlemen, I think we gave you the breakdown of the schedule this week. I've just to give you an update, it is still 7-6 Tennessee. It is at the 2-minute warning. So looks like I'll be able to get home before the second half starts. The 2K crew, I will wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, just in case I am not able to have a show next week. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. Like I said in the opener, when it comes to Thanksgiving, it's about who's around the table, not on the table. So keep that in mind. Embrace your loved ones. Enjoy the memories. I know, John, you got little ones running around, so enjoy them while they are little, brother. And always good to talk to you. And go Irish. But I'll leave you all with that. Everyone have a great week. Stay safe. The weather's shitty, so drive slow and make sure you get there. So we'll end it on that, ladies and gentlemen. 2K crew, we'll see you next time. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.